Good morning.
Happy day. Happy day.
Where's our men today?
It's Friday. They're playing ball.
They're playing the ball.
I was thinking of 2 girls.
Who's missing Mark's book?
Right, I gave Angela your book
Okay.
last week,
Okay.
so, and because she's on vacation, that may be why you don't.
Oh, that's fine.
But there is one. I did
Okay.
set it in the Franklin box for you
Thank
before I
you.
returned, so you're en route. Anyone else not have one?
She's en route. Do you have one?
Well, I've got one.
She's got one.
I've already
Everybody else
got
have got?
Well, there was some other
I
guy.
think John may have been.
John, the new guy.
John Byers, I gave him his yesterday.
Okay. Yeah, so I think he's the other one that raised his hand.
Okay, well, good.
There's no man here.
There's
Where
one.
the dudes?
He's set up. He's
See,
not.
yeah, he's here. He's just
His
some,
stuff is set up.
he's gone to take a showing.
He's door knocking.
He's door knocking.
We don't have Tim. Do we see a Tim?
I just saw Steve, the door knocker.
Steve, the
door knocker.
And I don't know if John will be here. Probably not. There's Steve. Steve, you're gonna have to move over.
Sorry, Steve, I have been.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Well, ladies,
And Jen.
kill it.
That's right.
You're the only dude that's shown up, so dudes are down right now.
I'm all down.
Yeah, we don't have Paul.
That's right.
Thank you. Well, okay, so everybody working on time blocking, right? Everybody's working on your ideal plan. All that's still steaming and, bubbling inside. So that's still happening. Time blocking, anybody do any? Okay? And then yesterday, we started to get into listings, right? And so, somebody tell me what part 1 of the listing was. That's all we did. Well, we talked about for sale by owners, right? We talked about sellers, their mindsets, and we got an appointment. And the first part of the appointment is part 1, and
The approach, working across the street,
Drive early.
meeting them and asking them to tell you, take you on a tour.
part 1 is the tour.
And, okay, the tour.
I mean, before you go, you're getting your little folder that you're going to have to leave behind, and in it is going to be tax records.
Property disclosure.
For somebody else, yeah.
Market analysis.
Huh?
Market analysis.
Market analysis, all your paperwork, which I said, you just have it with you. So that would, but if you're going to be a for sale by owner, have a generic property. Don't bring villages or give them villages. What else? Not that they're different. Don't get me wrong, they're the same. It's just that we don't want our logo and your name at the bottom.
Right.
If you're not the listing agent, okay? What else?
Property disclosure.
That's what we're just talking about, yeah. And what else? Presentation.
Your card.
Card.
And a whole bunch of stuff in the trunk.
Well, you're in your truck, but inside you're gonna bring your measurer, your laser measurer. You got your phone for you can take some pictures, and your clipboard so you can take voluminous notes. And as you walk around, you are writing down everything and speaking positive. So I want you to actually note the ridiculous, because the more you can comment, the more attentive they believe, even though you know it. Writing something and saying it. So let's get an example. So we walk in the front door, and there's this is something that's really silly, but this one house had really high baseboards, those really tall baseboards. And I went, oh my goodness, 5-inch baseboards. And I wrote, they were so impressed. Now, really, but people were so impressed that I was so attentive to the detail. And that's what I'm saying. You're not going to state the obvious, but you're going to try to find things. And that's how I keep myself entertained. I try to find something that I can comment on before they tell me. Or something that they may not even think of, and I'll make a comment. Now, if it's a negative, what do? I don't speak it. I write it on a corner over here so that I know that we're going to have to address that. And a lot of times they'll address it just because I stopped and looked at it. And then they'll say something like, oh yeah, I know, we've got to fix that. And then I write that. But I don't get into, this is not the time that I'm going to get into telling them what they need to do to get their house right. Because even with for sale by owner, that's something that I reserve for my clients, you know, when we're ready to go to market. So, and if they say anything while we're walking around, do you think we should change the carpet? Or do you think, while you're walking around, we should fix that? And you say, you know, let's make a note, and when we get to that point, I always go over the things that we probably will have to do when we're ready to put it on the market. I'm not starting to comment on how they're going to get their house fixed up, because they haven't hired me, and you know, I'm going to give them a lot of information, but it isn't going to be my tricks of the trade, so to speak. And everybody has something that has to be done, whether it's even moving something or a lighting or something. So it's not like it has to be really spectacular. But I am not going to get into how I want their home show ready at this moment at all, during this month. Okay, so again, don't let them derail you. So that's all that the first is. Take as much time as you can, ask a lot of questions, get them talking about their home, and that's your, I can't even tell you what this does. You skip this step, and you're backpedaling in terms of bonding. Yes, ma'am.
I thought of this yesterday after class. Do you ever get any pushback from when you mention to someone you like about an hour to an hour and a half? Do people ever push back on that time, or people are usually pretty good about, pretty understanding about how much time for
Well, I tell them I need that much time in order to be thoroughly
and they're
made.
usually pretty respectful of that?
Well, if they're not, then what do you do?
I mean, it's just what you need.
I mean, everything I do, this is like I'm doing rehearsals and I'm preparing. This number 3 time, this is 3 time, right? The green, this is like the show. And now you're saying I can't do the show? Okay. I mean, it's just like buyers who want you to get the car. Oh, I don't have time to meet with you. I'm already pre-qualified. I talked to a lender. Let's go looking. I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And you say, okay, because they don't have time. They want to just start
So
looking.
you kind of just like leave it at that if they say that they don't have time?
Well, you have a decision. We're back to policy.
Right.
Do you work with people that will not sit down with you and understand how the process works so that I can lay out the expectations of what they can expect of me and what I expect of him? Are you going to work with those people? And if you say yes, I say, okay. And I can guarantee you those are going to be your most problem people.
Okay.
I mean, you can do it, but you'll see. And we do it all the time. Agents are in the car showing property and find out that this person really couldn't buy anything they showed, so they wasted days. Or they're off and buy from somebody else and used you. I mean, go ahead. Treat it like you're just a cab driver and not a professional. I mean, an attorney doesn't go into court and talk. I mean, well, maybe those ones that are appointed, but they don't go very well unless they really know about the situation.
I think, I mean, I fully agree that the time is super valuable. I was just curious if it's very common that people push back on that, or is it usually like, oh, okay, great.
Well, I think it has to do with how you
Present it.
I mean, if I called to get an appointment, now for sale by owners, I always need just an hour, okay? But for listing, I need a lot longer. And, you know, if I called up to get my teeth cleaned and I said, but I only have 10 minutes, what would you say? Okay, I'll do just 10 minutes worth of work. What would you say?
We need to find another time that works better for you.
Or find somebody else, because I can't do a good job in 10 minutes.
Right.
It's no different. So if they're not willing, then they're not serious. Or they're not gonna be serious with me. That's up to you though. A lot of people get too scared to be that bold. And then you have to get eaten, beat, and trampled on, and then you'll get bolted. Okay? So then we did all that, we walked through, and now we're back to where?
Kitchen.
And the kitchen table, right? That's where we're gonna start. We started there and we're gonna end there. And then immediately we go into part 2. And we set up on the table, we bring out our folder, okay, and we pull out what? We're going into part 2. We just started part 2.
The presentation.
The presentation.
Oh, this is not for 700, this is,
Well, if it's a for sale by owner, what do we do?
Packing up.
leave.
If it's not a for sale by owner, we go immediately into part 2. Remember the CarMax where we just, it looks seamless. It's not like, that was part 1, now let's work on part 2. What did you think of part 1? No, it's not a stopping point. It's just in my mind, I know what's next. They just think it's one thing. And so you bring out your listing presentation. And if I recall, we had gone through the first part. And how long did I say this listing presentation, especially the first time up until we got to the circles, what was that?
About 3 minutes, quick.
Fast, 5 minutes. I mean, you're not sitting there rambling on about stuff because what is the thing that's in their head? The most important thing they want to know. How much and how much you're going to charge me. Okay, so both of those things, no. That is not, well, yeah, I don't, no. Well, I think you better be up here again. That was perfect.
Welcome.
Holy rock, Steve.
We were missing you.
Were you?
Steve was lonely. He was the only dude here. We don't know what happened to Paul.
Steve.
You're gonna,
I feel better.
you do.
I'm Roger.
Just test for
Yes.
So what we did is we went through those things because people don't want to, they're anxious. They want to get to the heart of things. But you're going to give them just a little bit, and you say, I'm leaving this behind, so I'm just touching it just so you know it's in here, so you can read about this later. Because they are not interested in how many offices we have. We have one in the east, and then there's a lovely one in Frank. I mean, don't do that to them, please, because you got to keep this moving. So now we're to that part, and we're just flipping, or if you're doing it with an online, you can go through it. But I like the tactile on the page where they can look at it. I can write on that spot where it said we have. Now I could put that on that particular page, right? We have sales meeting on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Tuesday. I couldn't put that on there, and then you wouldn't have to write it. But there's something about stopping and writing it like you just thought of it, and it became this incredible, oh, I forgot to tell you this. Hey, hello.
Hello.
Well, we have a new male here. So you are
I'm Chad Barth. So,
Chad
I know
Barth.
I know this is day 3, but I'll pick up the other 2 and the next time it's available in December.
Okay,
So yeah.
okay. So, a little bit about you, Chad. You don't just come in here and not become friends with me.
I'm on the spot now. I'm retired military law enforcement and just doing something different.
Yeah?
I'm a director of security at a hotel downtown for the time being, but I do that at night.
Okay.
I'm very tired because I just got back into town this morning from Italy, so
Oh my God.
it was amazing.
Are you sure? Well, I am.
Yeah, I got to meet the Pope and had dinner with the Pope, so yeah, it was amazing.
You had dinner. I had mass with the Pope, but how did you get to have dinner with him?
My aunt, my fiance Nina, yeah, is a nun, and her order, the founder of her order, was canonized just given St. Clair Sunday.
Oh, just Sunday?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
so we had a private tour of the Vatican.
Oh,
Wow.
Wow,
That's
busy
amazing.
time.
get out of here. Shut.
It was
Just go
amazing.
like this over the roof or
Are you sure you don't want to just go home and go to bed and pick this all up in December?
You know what I mean? You're sitting there with the Pope and you're just like, your hair is standing up, you're like, I can't believe it.
So what was the book?
He's just very down to earth.
Oh, I love this post.
He's
This guy
a great
is,
guy.
He's
is
one of the
somebody
guys.
special.
Yes, hours. What do you?
No, see, in Italy they do things in stages, like you'll gain weight. Because they bring out salad.
I lost a pound.
No, the salad is not first.
I lost a pound when I went there.
Yeah.
I ate and drank my way, but we
Well,
walked
see,
everywhere.
my family is Italian, so when I go there, but salad is after.
Yeah.
It's not
And
first.
so they bring out the cheese plate first,
No.
like with the gazpacho or whatever.
No,
And then they
that's
bring out a
Mexican.
small pasta. And then they bring out a big pasta with the meat.
And then the meat,
Yeah, and then the salad.
then the
And then
salad.
you have to have dessert.
Wine with
They
everything.
frown on you if you don't have dessert.
Yeah, my husband, who is not Italian, I took him and he thought he was gonna die.
Yeah.
From
So
eating.
much, yeah.
And I'll never eat ice cream or sherbet again. It's gelato. I mean, gelato is addictive.
There's a place.
One on, in
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I am
So
so
good.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, welcome Chad Barth,
Thank you.
B-A-R-T-H.
Yes,
And what office are you going to be in?
here.
Okay, good.
So, yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
Did
to
you come
meet
home with any relics?
Huh? I did. Yeah, I got everything. I got everything baptized and, blessed by him.
Blessed.
So,
Oh.
yeah.
Well, I have a bladder infection. Is there a little piece of cloth I can touch? I do have antibiotics, but still.
I think cranberry juice would work.
Not the
Okay.
same as
All right, this has gone into a...
Sorry.
Okay. Now we're on bladder infection. That's segue.
How do you work that into a listing
That's
presentation?
segue. You gotta be ready to move at a time. Okay, so, there's a book that you need, but you don't have it right now because it's downstairs and is that an extra or you sure?
Yeah, I'll share
Okay, so, we're in the middle of what we do to encourage a seller or show our value, customize it and everything, and you'll learn that you're really in the middle of the movie, but it's okay.
Okay.
All right. Where were we? Oh,
Writing on the page.
writing on the page. So, oh, Paul, nice of you to join us.
I like it.
I'm glad. Yeah, the men were suffering, but you're coming back. Okay, let me all know when I can start this class. Okay, is everybody cozy? Said hi to everybody. Everybody, you missed Chad. He's been with the Pope. And
Just got back from having dinner with them.
yeah, we had dinner with him, and he brought back some relics so we can cure Leslie's bladder infection. So just that you're caught up.
Lindsay's a nurse. Her history as a nurse, so to her, that's how I
I know, yeah. I was a nurse.
Just sum it up.
Oh.
Nothing sacred.
Okay.
I'm sure a nurse.
John missed this. It's so stuffy. We're gonna get him loosened.
Yeah.
Or
John,
John.
I don't be a ball. You mean
Oh, he might.
scandalized.
Okay, get out your name tags because I still want those for everybody else besides me.
Did you know my name? You just
I
said.
do, but when you do that,
I said accidentally.
it's okay. You had it on the kitchen table, so you can show it.
So that everybody would know. I had company last night.
Whoa, this is fun to gather these cats. That's nice of you. He's gonna write your name.
It's very nice.
We are a supportive company. Okay. So, we are at that point, part two, where we're back to the kitchen table. We've gone through the first part of the listing, presentation, and it is a little bit about the company, a little bit about us, a little bit about, and we're just, you know, telling, and here it is. So now we get to the factors that influence the sale of your home. So get to that part, okay? To me, they fancied it up lovely in the in your book, which is great. But I used to have a real simple thing, okay? So these are the factors that influence the sale. You see that page? Okay. Then what we did is we took each circle, instead of writing it in the circle, you all aren't there.
What page is it in this?
It's in that presentation.
Like this.
We're not in track 3.
Oh.
We're now off
Here
center.
we go.
Okay? So I took the top one, the way it's in here. This is why the pages are all separate. So it's not going to flow like this. You're going to put, to me, I would put it one at a time and flip it so that I could follow it. But right now it's not the way it would be, because you wouldn't open it up like that, you know, okay?
Yes.
So I always take this page out, the one with the 3, okay, market conditions, realtors and sellers. So I take it out and lay it here when I get to it. Well, it's already out. Okay, so anyway, that's a standalone page. And then I talk about the first square, or circle, which is market conditions, right? So that's this one. And in this circle, I want to say these, no one has control over. Tell me what those are. It's on that next page.
The economy.
Financial market, location,
Competition.
competition.
Location.
Weather.
That is true. But these are the basic things. And so then what I do is I go, these are the factors that no one has control over. I don't and you don't, but they do have a bearing on getting your home sold. Number 1 is the economy. And I say something about the economy. Now, this is why this presentation right here was my listing presentation in a nutshell for years. I mean, I had all that other fluff, but this is it, guys. It's setting the stage of who does what and what they can expect, and it's in a visual format. So this is the way I used to do it. So I would say, in the economy, I didn't write it, it was already printed like this. So in the economy, and then you go into a 3-second sentence about the economy. Now, sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's bad, right? What is it now, and how is it in Nashville? What would you say? What would be a sentence you would say today, especially if you've been to the economic forum that we will talk to you about the first meeting in November, we all went. What would you say about the economy here in Nashville?
Strong.
Strong. Would you put any caveats in there?
Calming down.
I'll tell you the market itself.
The market has been very, very strong. We've seen a huge recovery.
Stabilizing.
But it is now
Equalizing.
having a slight correction. So you want to lay a little seed, especially now as a seller. You're not going to go in there and say, hey, it's a seller's market half. Now, we might have said that a year ago. Now we gotta put some little bit of brakes on it. Not huge. We're not saying get ready. Okay, so you would say a couple things to make yourself look very intelligent about the economy. And the financial market. So the financial market has also been absolutely incredible for a long time. And depending on their age, you could say something about, which I could. I sold homes when it was 18%. You know, and so I never thought, I remember saying to people in my office, we will never see single digits again. I did, in the 80s. Because there was no way in hell that everybody thought it would go below 10. I moved here, I got a 9. And I thought I had struck gold. Now, if you told somebody the interest rates were 9, they'd pass out on the floor.
Yeah.
It's such a relative thing. But what would you say about the interest rates? You'd say, you know, interest rates have held very low. But I went to the Economic Council, and they're going to raise them one more time this year, and 3 times next year, to offset inflation. So not to a degree of seriousness. We don't think it's going to bump past 5 much, but it is going to have a bearing on the market, right? Especially your first-time buyers. Location, of course, we're not going to move the house necessarily. We may bulldoze it, but location is really important. And so if you're at the home and you know that possibly there is a location issue, maybe it backs up to a railroad track, or it's already, you already see something. Don't start talking about the negative. Again, say something very positive. And you could say you are in Nashville. Middle Tennessee is the 4th largest growing city, so that at least you're in the right town, And we may have to talk a little bit about, the railroad track or something, but just no discussion. And lastly is your competition, and I want you to know that your competition is not your neighbors. It could be, but your competition extends beyond the neighborhood. And the reason I want to say that is because why? They've already decided before you ever got there, even if it's not a for sale by owner, what they want for the house. They've talked to their 27 closest friends and neighbors, including their mother in Florida, who's also told them that that house is worth, if that house was in Florida, it'd be $1 million. And I said, God, if it was in Hawaii, it'd be $3 million. I mean, that's such a stupid statement. So location is really, really important. So you're just touching on those things, and they're following you. So I'm in this case with this. I have this here, and I would just be mentioning it. Okay. So nobody has any control over those, but we have to work within what is in our means of control. And so the next one, if you turn, is what I have control over, right? So I'm going to tell him what I have control over. So here's what I will do. Okay? Now, I have a real issue. And I'm sorry, because, there's just anyway. These 2 circles, I wrestle with which one I will talk about first. Okay? This is the seller. The way it's in the book right now, and that's why these pages can be mixed up. I personally like to talk about the seller here. Pardon me?
Is it way after all of the way after? I couldn't even find the seller list. I was like, where is this stuff now?
So you need to decide what you want to do. Okay? So I'm going to just do the realtor one for it. It really doesn't matter, except I have this thing where once I tell about the seller, I say, let me show you what I'm going to do to earn my portion of the commission. So I like to do the seller first. So could you go to the seller just to make me feel better?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it also, it could go either way. This is just my comfort zone. And that's why, how do you think this becomes yours?
Doing it?
Doing it and sitting and looking at it and practicing, because this is like CarMax. It's not a wing it. It is, and it looks like it, but you know exactly the information you're delivering in the way that you want it heard and delivered. So what I'm saying to you is this is a personal decision, which one you want to go to. And the pages, you can mix them up. You know what I'm saying? Okay? So let's start with what I like, and that's the seller. Okay? Now, we know who has any control of this, but in the seller, you have control. You have control over the price, right? The condition that the home is in when it's being shown. This is price and terms, right? And the commission that you offer the outside selling agent. And that's how I say it. So you have 3 things. They may have 4, I don't know what it is. 3. These are my 3 things. You, Mr. Seller, Miss Seller, whatever, you control the price and terms. You control the condition of the home. And the commission that you offer to the outside selling agent. And then I stop right there and I go to another chart. It should be in there that looks like this. Let's talk about commission. The reason I like this first is because what are the things they're dying to know about? So rather than start talking about all my fluffy stuff that I'm going to do, let's get nailing some real hard stuff. Let's get it out on the table. So you have control of pricing, terms, condition, and commission. And I'll say, now condition, if this, and I might say something about condition, I might say, if the home looks like this when it's being shown, it's wonderful. But I do have some tricks that I want to go over with you once you list with me to make sure that it's show ready. That's all I say about condition. If it's really a dump, just say, and the condition, and we'll be going over some things that will, you know, whatever. It's always, we'll be going over some things. But you could compliment or just be quiet. You're not going to say, honey, we have a month worth of work. I mean, I went into one of my people that I sold the house, and they were so picky. I mean, she was white glove and everything. And they bought the house, and then I think it was 2 or 3 years later, they called me to list it, and they had 2 babies. I knocked on the door, and she could not get the door open because of all the crap that was blocking the door, toys and whatever. So stepping in, I come in, it is a disaster. I'm not kidding. The kids have been writing Kool-Aid on the carpet, toys everywhere, filthy. I get to the kitchen, there is Cheerios stuck to the counter. I mean, I was speechless. And I looked at her and she said, I know I got a lot of work to do. I said, well, let's start. I mean, I had my notepad to do the walkthrough. I'm not kidding. She was having to almost shovel stuff aside to get to the rooms. And I said, you know, you and I, we bought this house together. I said, you know what you should have this looking like. I mean, I couldn't even go through this. I mean, I just said, honey. And she said, just tell me what, I promise you. Give me, I think it was 3 weeks. We'll sign the listing, and when you come back, because I wasn't taking a picture, I mean, you know, there was no hope here. I came back in 3 weeks, and it looked like the day went by. I was like, I thought to myself, I thought to myself, my God, so you live like this, but you get it beautiful. I mean, I just couldn't imagine. But anyway, it's amazing how people will be so picky. And that's why one thing I want to tell you with buyers, when we get to there, I never meet buyers at their homes for an intro. People say, go to their home so you can see their taste and stuff. People don't want to buy what they have. I don't want to imagine, because then I'm going to go, hey, I don't know what you live like a pig, so what's wrong with this? I don't really want to know. I want to know what they imagine they want, not what they really have. But that's another thing. So that's about condition. And then I said the word. I said the bird. I said commission, right? So 2 things I've just said. Price and terms and commission. Those are the 2 things they want to know about. So commission is the last word I said. Okay? And so, did you find the circle that's like this? There's a, I mean, in here. It's one of, oh, you got it. It looks like this, seller commission. Okay? So I go right to there and I pull it up. Hi, Tyler. The men are coming in strong. Late but strong. We're going to give you minus points. Okay? So what you want to do is let's talk about commission. We said the word, let's get it out there. So I go to this and I actually write in on this page. So, because I want them to really visualize it. And I want you to see, and I'll take my pen and make a darker line on there. There's 2 sides to a commission. Actually, the commission's like a pie. But let's start with 2 sides. There's usually a selling office and village. And there's I made too many lines, didn't I?
Yeah,
Wow.
there's only,
It's right to the middle, yeah.
yeah, there you go.
Well, this isn't as big as, that's why they have it pre-printed, so you don't have an art problem. Okay, and then there is a listing agent, which in this case would be me, and I say it like that, should you hire me. And then we're going to put this as an offering in the multiple listing for all of the real estate community, because my job, I want to write this down, it's so cute. My job is to mobilize the entire real estate community to cause your home to be sold. Okay? Now, I say that because I want them to understand that everybody says, yeah, we're going to put it in the list. There's something about that. I'm going to mobilize the entire real estate community to cause your home to be sold. And so these people that we're going to put it in, we're going to offer them a commission. Okay? The outside agent. And this part in here, this is the selling agent, this is the cost of doing business. It's the split that the company gets off of what I do. It's my cost of my signs and my lockbox and all of my education, just like everybody. It's kind of the overhead for the agent. Okay? So this would be the agent's portion. So we want to offer to the selling agent, in order to be competitive. That's why I have this. I'd love to go back and point to that. It's all sitting out there. I recommend you offer 3%. But remember I said, you have control what you offer to the outside selling agent. Remember I told them that? Who has control over me? What you offer me? Who has control?
You.
Me. They don't have control. Now I know you said commissions are negotiable. They are. I've already negotiated what I'll work for. This is where policy, and I promise you'll have time to, what if they don't like that? Okay, we're not there. You're not breathing and giving them, well, how does that sound? No, this is fast. They don't get to talk. And if you know where you're going, it's just like the CarMax guy. Okay? So I recommend you offer 3%. You don't have to, but your competition will show you how that seems to be the number that most realtors are being given in your competitive market. Okay? And I have a 50-50 split in the total commission, and that is, which you may have heard from other realtors, the 6%. And I go right into this and I say, now let me show you what I'm going to do to earn my portion, and I circle my portion of the commission. And I draw right on this thing. Because everybody believes when we get to the net sheets, which we're going to get to today, there's going to be this giant number. And that looks to them like, I'm going to walk away with $50,000 or whatever. But I'm not, and that's why I keep this chart and I really hone in. Let me show you what I'm going to do to earn my portion of the commission, not to earn the commission, because we're going to talk about totals, but I'm not getting the total. Does that make sense? Okay. So then immediately we go to the page where I go right back. So in your case it's mixed up, but you're going to put it in order. I go right to the realtor circle. So let me show you what I'm going to do to earn my portion of the commission. And that circle has in it all this stuff. It's pages, which is really basically marketing. And what this does now, from this moment, for this last time, is a cheat sheet for you to make sure that you remember to show and tell all the things that you're going to do between now and going to getting a buyer, okay? That's quite a bit. Now you get to demonstrate all the marketing. So far, we've still only at about, we should be not even maybe, we might be at 10 minutes because They're not asking questions. This isn't a what do you think? Do you have any objections? We're not dealing with objections. And as long as you keep talking and you know exactly where you're going, they're going to follow you. Does that make sense? Don't let them derail you at this moment. And it's not because I'm mean or this is a slick sales pitch. It's because they're not ready to hear the answers yet to their objections. They think that, because it's just like saying, they call on the phone and I tell them my price and the commission, you may never get a chance. They won't hear the rest of the story. So you've got to be in control and keep them on track. So in the realtor, we have marketing strategy, professional marketing, materials, resources, and appointment center. And so what they've done with this is they've broken all of these things out into little things, right? So, and they followed it up with pictures that support the things that you're going to have here, okay? So, each one of these, we'll go through it in a page. So, these are all of the things that I'm going to accomplish. And let's start by telling you, one of the things we're going to do is we are going to have, and this is where you're going to talk maybe about a professional marketing. Maybe you're going to do a color brochure. This is a sample of brochures. Maybe you've already done listings and you brought some of your own. So this is where you're going to show. And I always say, you know, it's really important that the materials I use, my signs, my brochures, and I am going to have a photographer come maybe, you know, if you are. Because people are going to look at maybe 15, 20 homes, maybe, or more. And I want yours, they're going to gather these brochures. I want them when they get back to their hotel or they go back to review, I want yours to really stand out. I really believe it. And as far as the signs in Village, Village has a strong brand. And that is a draw right in itself, okay? So that's what I'd say about that. Over here is the next one would talk about marketing online. And you need to know that all of your home will be syndicated to all of these, or you could, I would say something like, I will make sure that your home is uploaded to all of these sites. So I want them to know already, see, we've got the brochures, now we've got the online marketing, and the next page is, the reason I'm hesitating is because it's in a different format. It's a new listing presentation. Same message, it just looks different. But you've got to become so familiar that when you get to this page, you talk about the Village website, that we have tremendous resources. In fact, on that Village website, not only will your house be there, but all homes that are even at other companies. So people will stay at the Village website and the odds of getting more interest. And the other thing I talk about there is really important about signs and Village's website and people who call in on a sign or call in on a website. The things I'm telling you are the words that match these pictures, because these are important statements, and one of them is, I would be your listing agent, and at Village we have floor duty. Most companies do, where if people call in on a sign or they call in on a web link, they look on the website and find your home, they're going to call into the office. And they may not even remember it's my name, but I want you to know at Village, we go so far as to make sure that the calls get to me, not just someone. Because if I list the home and someone calls in, even if they don't know the name, our agents, our staff is trained to look that up and find out who that agent is and make sure that I get the calls, because I am the one that's best able to talk about your property. So I want you to know that having that sign and being on the website is a really powerful thing at Village. That's a nail. Remember James Bond? Mm-hmm. Right? Because then they ask, do you have floor duty? Who gets your calls? The guy that follows up and that blows out of time. Okay. Also, another thing I'm going to do is we're going to set up your home on our showing center, our appointment center, which means that an outside company will call you when an agent is wanting to schedule an appointment. They will let me know too that one is being scheduled. And you will set up that time, and I will tell them, we'll sit down when you give me the list, and we'll talk about the preferences for times and what we do with Fluffy and Susie and In and Out Cats or whatever. And you've already kind of talked about what you're going to do with those throughout the walkthrough. So I just want you to know that that will happen. The good news about that is not only will I get the notice that you're being shown, but a survey will be sent to that agent asking for their feedback, okay? And that's very important, especially in those first showings. So, now, here's where, remember time out for a minute? You have a decision that you can make, and this is how you do your business. Do you want them to be able